Most of us begin our mornings in a very similar way. A familiar cup of coffee, a quiet moment before the day properly begins. For many years, coffee has simply been coffee. Something that helps you wake up a little, warms you up a little, comforting, predictable, familiar. But after the age of 60, the body starts to change in ways that are very subtle. Not loudly, not suddenly, just quietly. Things don't respond as quickly as they once did. You might notice that mornings feel slower. Your hands or knees feel a bit stiff when you first move. Digestion feels heavier than it used to. Your memory doesn't feel quite as sharp. And your energy doesn't always last until lunchtime. Most people brush this off and say, it's just age. That's normal at this stage of life. And in many ways, they're right. Aging does play a role. But what's rarely explained is this. After 60, the issue often isn't that your body needs more food. It's that your body needs to absorb nutrients more efficiently. And this is an important distinction. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet. You don't need a complicated health plan. You don't need to give up the things you enjoy. Sometimes the most effective changes come from gently upgrading a habit you already have. That morning cup of coffee, something you drink every single day, is actually a very good foundation for supporting the body with what it may be quietly missing. Not to treat illness, not to fight aging, simply to help the body do its work a little more easily. And that's what we're going to explore together today. Most of us begin our mornings in a very similar way. A familiar cup of coffee, a quiet moment before the day properly begins. For many years, coffee has simply been coffee. Something that helps you wake up a little, warms you up a little, comforting, predictable, familiar. But after the age of 60, the body starts to change in ways that are very subtle. Not loudly, not suddenly, just quietly. Things don't respond as quickly as they once did. You might notice that mornings feel slower. Your hands or knees feel a bit stiff when you first move. Digestion feels heavier than it used to. Your memory doesn't feel quite as sharp. And your energy doesn't always last until lunchtime. Most people brush this off and say, it's just age. That's normal at this stage of life. And in many ways, they're right. Aging does play a role. But what's rarely explained is this. After 60, the issue often isn't that your body needs more food. It's that your body needs to absorb nutrients more efficiently. And this is an important distinction. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet. You don't need a complicated health plan. You don't need to give up the things you enjoy. Sometimes the most effective changes come from gently upgrading a habit you already have. That morning cup of coffee, something you drink every single day, is actually a very good foundation for supporting the body with what it may be quietly missing. Not to treat illness, not to fight aging, simply to help the body do its work a little more easily. And that's what we're going to explore together today. To really understand what's happening, we need to look at the body in a very practical way. Not emotionally, not judgmentally, just mechanically. After the age of 60, several small physiological shifts happen almost in the background. They're subtle. But when they add up, you begin to feel them. First, digestion slows, not because the stomach stops working, but because stomach acid, digestive enzymes, and gut movement all become a little less efficient. Food still goes in, but fewer nutrients actually make it into the bloodstream. Second, absorption changes. Minerals, amino acids, and fats, the raw materials your body uses to repair joints, fuel the brain, and regulate energy, are absorbed more slowly and sometimes less completely. Third, low-grade inflammation becomes more common, not the kind that causes pain or fever, but the quiet, background kind that gently interferes with how cells communicate and recover. Now, here's the key part. None of this means your body is malfunctioning. It means your body needs clearer signals and more accessible nutrients. This is why the same diet that worked at 40 can feel less effective at 65. You're eating similar foods, but the body is extracting less value from them. Think of it like this. It's not that the engine is broken. It's that the fuel isn't burning as cleanly or efficiently as before. This is also why forcing big changes often backfires. Large meals, heavy supplements, or aggressive routines can overwhelm digestion rather than help it. What works better now is alignment, nutrients that are easy to absorb, amounts that are gentle, and timing that fits into routines the body already recognizes. This is where something familiar, like your morning coffee, becomes useful, not as stimulation, but as a delivery system. When you understand this, things stop feeling mysterious. You're no longer guessing. You're simply working with how the body actually functions at this stage of life. And that clarity is what allows calm, confident choices to follow. Now that the picture is clearer, this is where trust usually begins. Not because something sounds impressive, but because it feels reasonable. We're not talking about changing who you are or how you eat. We're talking about gently supporting the body, using tools that fit into a routine you already have. Let's walk through 5 functional powders that many people over 60 find helpful when added to morning coffee. None of these are cures. They don't force the body. They simply make things easier over time. First, collagen peptides. For many people, this one feels familiar. Joint stiffness in the morning, skin that feels thinner or drier, small aches that take longer to settle. After 60, natural collagen production drops quite sharply. Not suddenly, just steadily. And collagen is one of the main building materials for joints, tendons, skin, and connective tissue. When collagen peptides are added to warm coffee, they dissolve easily and are generally gentle on digestion. What the body experiences isn't an immediate change, but a quieter kind of support. Over time, this may reduce strain on joints and help tissues recover a little more smoothly. It doesn't fix anything overnight, but it can quietly reduce the background load your joints carry each day. Second, MCT oil powder. This one often surprises people. Many adults over 60 say they wake up feeling slow, not tired exactly, just not switched on. And by mid-morning, energy dips again. After 60, the brain can struggle to access energy as efficiently as it once did, especially from carbohydrates. MCTs provide an alternative fuel source that the body can use more quickly. When added in small amounts, MCT oil powder can quietly support mental clarity and steadier energy. Not stimulation, not a buzz, just less strain on the system. Over time, this can help the brain work with less effort, especially in the morning hours. Third, pure cacao powder. This isn't about chocolate flavor or indulgence. Pure cacao contains natural compounds that support blood flow, particularly to the brain. As we age, circulation can become less efficient, not dramatically, just gradually. When cacao is added to coffee in small amounts, the body experiences a subtle improvement in circulation and antioxidant support. Some people notice their thinking feels a little clearer. Mood feels slightly more balanced. It doesn't change personality. It doesn't lift you artificially. It simply supports the systems that help the brain function calmly and consistently. Over time, this may quietly reduce strain on cognitive processing. Fourth, turmeric powder with black pepper. Turmeric often gets talked about loudly, but its real value is actually very quiet. Low-grade inflammation becomes more common after 60, not painful inflammation, the kind you don't always feel, but that interferes with joints, digestion, and energy. In small amounts, turmeric can help calm that background inflammation, not by shutting anything down, but by making the internal environment less reactive. When paired with a pinch of black pepper, absorption improves. Used gently, this combination may reduce long-term strain on joints and the digestive system. It's not about doing more, it's about asking the body to work under calmer conditions. Fifth, finely ground chia seed powder. Digestion often changes quietly with age. Slower movement, more bloating, less regularity. Chia powder provides soluble fiber and gentle fats that support the gut without forcing it. When added to coffee, it thickens slightly and slows absorption, just enough to help stabilize blood sugar. Over time, this can quietly support digestion, cholesterol balance, and energy levels, not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency is what the body responds to best now. Across all 5, the pattern is the same. These additions don't push. They don't shout. They don't promise miracles. They simply reduce strain, little by little, so the body can do what it already knows how to do. And that's why people begin to trust this approach, not because it's exciting, but because it feels respectful. This is the part where many people usually feel overwhelmed. So let's pause for a moment and make this simple. You don't need to add 5 powders at once. You don't need a perfect routine. And you don't need to do it right. After 60, the body responds best to small, steady changes, not big plans. Start with one addition, just one. If joints or skin are what you notice most, start with collagen. 1 scoop, stirred into the coffee you already drink. Nothing else changes. If mornings feel slow or foggy, try a small amount of MCT oil powder. Half a teaspoon is enough to begin, not to boost, just to support. If mood or focus feels a little flat, a pinch of pure cacao may be all you need. Not sweet, not indulgent, just supportive. If digestion or stiffness shows up quietly in the background, a touch of turmeric, paired with black pepper, can be added gently. Less is more here. And if your gut feels heavy or irregular, start with a small teaspoon of finely ground chia powder and drink a glass of water alongside it. That's it. No rotation schedules to memorize, no rules to follow. Give each change a few days. Notice how your body responds. Does your morning feel smoother? Does energy last a little longer? Do joints feel slightly less stiff? You're not looking for dramatic results. You're listening for ease. Because you don't need perfect nutrition. You need less strain. And when the body feels less strained, it does the rest quietly on its own. If you're listening to this and thinking, I wish I'd known this years ago, let's gently set that thought aside. The body doesn't keep score. It doesn't punish you for what you didn't do earlier. It simply responds to what you do now. Even after 60, your body is still highly adaptable. Your gut adjusts, your joints respond, your brain notices small improvements faster than most people expect. Progress at this stage of life doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from removing friction. When you give the body what it can use easily, not more, just better, it begins to work with you again. That's why small changes matter so much. 1 scoop, 1 teaspoon, 1 quieter morning. These are not late fixes. They're timely support. And no, you haven't missed your window. In fact, after 60, the body often responds more clearly to gentle improvements because it's no longer distracted by excess. This isn't about reversing age. It's about aligning with it. As the saying goes, after 60, improvement doesn't come from force. It comes from alignment. And alignment feels lighter, calmer, more sustainable. So take a breath. You're not behind. You're right where change can still happen, quietly and on your terms. This channel exists for a simple reason. Not to scare you, not to lecture you, and never to promise quick fixes. We believe health after 60 should feel calm, not stressful, preventive, not reactive, sustainable, not exhausting. The body doesn't need to be forced. It needs to be understood. Here we focus on small shifts that reduce strain, support independence, and help you feel steady in your own body for longer. If today's conversation felt respectful, if it helped you feel a little clearer, a little more in control, then you're exactly who this channel is for. There's no pressure here, no urgency. If this helped, stay with us. We'll keep moving slowly, thoughtfully, and always with respect for the body you're living in.